This is Thanksgiving. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
This is giving Thanksgiving?
This is giving Thanksgiving. We love that. Like, we need to put that on a t-shirt. It's giving Thanksgiving. What's up, everybody? We are here. It is holiday season. I can't believe this year is coming to an end. One of my favorite holidays is Thanksgiving, and today we're gonna be making 5 of my favorite side dishes and my favorite holiday pie. Let's get into it. We're gonna be making a pumpkin pie with pecan streusel. Before we get into any controversy about pumpkin pie versus sweet potato pie, I have an amazing purple sweet potato pie recipe somewhere on my channel, but this right here is gonna be perfect because we're gonna be making some sweet potato pie casserole later, and I didn't wanna make too many sweet potato things. First things first, we're gonna make our pie. This is probably like something you can do ahead for the holidays. You can make this 2 days ahead, 1 day ahead, but we wanna get this started because this takes a good amount of time and we want our pies to chill. You can make your pie dough in a food processor. This is just something that I love doing because, like, why would I want to do it by hand when I can do it in the food processor? So we're gonna add the flour and make a mess right into the food processor. I'm gonna be also adding in some salt, some sugar, and then I'm gonna add half the butter to start. Okay, and now we're gonna give this a quick little pulse. So pretty much what we're looking for is we want the butter to like turn into crumbles, like pea-sized crumbles. And then we're going to add in the remaining butter. This butter is ice cold. You wanna make sure whenever you're making a pie dough, your butter has to be extremely cold. And then I'm also gonna add a little bit of shortening. And we're gonna go ahead and give this a little pulse. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add some ice cold water. We wanna make sure everything's super cold because this makes for the perfect flaky, layery, buttery crust. If it's too warm, then the crust won't have those like nice layers and flakiness. So I'm gonna turn this on, add the cold water. So the dough will turn into a ball at some point. You wanna make sure you're just like keeping an eye out for it. You pretty much just wanna mix the dough until it forms into like a little bit of a ball. You don't wanna overmix this at all because you're gonna tend to get like a tough crust when we really want a nice tender crust. So once it forms and it starts to catch, you can take the dough out of the mixer, finish kneading it by hand, just barely till it comes together. So this is perfect. Chill this, and this can freeze for up to 2 months. But if you wanna make your pie doughs ahead of time, a couple days ahead of time, this is perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and just plastic wrap it and set it aside until we are ready to roll our dough. Now that the crust is chilling, we are going to get into making our pie filling. That rhymes. Okay, so now we're gonna get our pureed pumpkin and we're gonna pop it into a bowl. I'm just using canned pumpkin puree. And then we're going to take 2 eggs, some room temp eggs, and okay, so I just added a little bit of spice in here. I added some cloves, ginger, and salt. And now I'm adding in some cinnamon. We're gonna go ahead and just give this a mix. Gonna make sure we get all of the seasonings nice and incorporated all throughout the pumpkin puree. Once it's all even, we're gonna add in some evaporated milk. I like to add half at a time. Add in some sugar. I absolutely love pumpkin pie. Like, I remember eating Marie Callender's pumpkin pie all the time as a kid. I lived right by Marie Callender's and it was just my favorite from the holidays. Like, I'm team pumpkin pie over sweet potato pie. Don't shade me, okay? I'm gonna add the rest of the evaporated milk and the rest of the sugar. And this is perfection. So I'm gonna set this aside, and now we're gonna get into rolling our pie dough. All right, party people. The dough is chilled and there's nothing in my fridge. This is not MTV Cribs. All right, so we got our dough ready to go. What's up with me rhyming today? Rhyme and rhythm, I'm here for it. So I'm gonna unwrap the dough and I'm going to lightly flour our surface. And then I'm gonna just roll it out with the French rolling pin, my favorite style rolling pin, and start out by pushing out towards the ends, working your way through the middle. You don't wanna add too much pressure on the rolling pin. You kind of just wanna let the rolling pin do its job. If you push down too much, then you tend to like make it uneven. So I'm just going to lightly continue to roll it out. The key to knowing your pie dough is gonna be a banger is you're gonna see little pieces of butter, you're gonna see little pieces of shortening throughout the dough, which just means it's gonna be extra flaky and extra beautiful. Another pro tip when making and rolling your pie dough out, you wanna make sure that you're moving it around a little bit so it doesn't get stick to the bottom. Give it a little rotation here and there. I kind of like a semi-thick crust. I don't want it to be too thin, but I still do want it to be even all the way. So. I like to roll it into quarters. And then once I have it into quarters, I like to add the middle of the quarter, if that makes any sense, into the center of the dish, just like this. And you want to make sure that the pie dough is like touching the corners of your pan here. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut some of the remaining dough, the excess. Now we're going to dock the pie. This just makes sure that the pie stays nice and flat and it doesn't really like shrink and there's no bubbles inside after baking. So I'm gonna dock this really lightly and then we're gonna go put this into the fridge for chilling. Okay, so now we're gonna make our pecan streusel. I love pecan pie and I love pumpkin pie, but like I think pumpkin pie is giving more of Thanksgiving vibes and I wanted to add the pecan streusel because it adds for a nice texture and I make this pie every holiday and it's so freaking good. My tita is like asking me about this pie every time she sees me. She's like, are you gonna make the pumpkin pie with the pecan streusel? I'm like, yes, I make it every year. You know that. So here it is. So we're gonna get into making the streusel. I am gonna put flour into the bowl and then I'm gonna add in some brown sugar. We're gonna add our pecans. And then we're gonna add some cinnamon and some salt. Gonna add a little melted butter. So we want this to be kind of like chunky. This is gonna go right on top of the pie, like mid-bake, and then we're gonna bake the pie with this on there, and it's gonna get really crunchy. So it's gonna add for a nice, like, crunchy texture. So this is pretty much what it should look like, nice and crumbly and like just chunky pieces just like this. We cannot have pie without whipped cream, okay? So we're gonna be making a maple syrup whipped cream. It's super delicious and I mean, super easy to do. So we just have some whipping cream into this bowl. I'm gonna add some salt into that and I'm going to, while we are whipping the cream, I'm gonna go ahead and rain in a little bit of maple syrup. So what the maple syrup is doing is acting as a sweetener. We're not gonna put any powdered sugar, any sugar in here. Just gonna add for a nice, like, oaky, sweet deliciousness. And halfway through, we are going to add some vanilla bean paste. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape this in there. You can't have whipped cream without a little vanilla. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this up. Perfect. I personally like my whipped cream like a little bit light. I don't like it too stiff. I feel like this is the perfect consistency. It's just beautiful, luscious, and light. Oh my gosh. Pie dough is nice and chilled. You wanna make sure you chill it, all right? Major key. Now I'm gonna add in our pumpkin custard. Give it a little mix one more time. Oh, This is how you know it's Thanksgiving. This is how you know it's holiday season. This color right here is just giving exactly what that is. Ooh, we are so excited for this pie. Like, so now we're gonna add a little bit of egg wash around the pie crust, just to make sure it has that nice, beautiful, classic shine. And now we're gonna pop it into the oven at 425 for 15 minutes. So after the 15 minutes, we're going to lower our oven to 350 and bake the pie for 40 minutes. Now I'm gonna add our streusel into the fridge just so it can chill there while the pie is baking. Now we're getting into my top 5 holiday sides. Okay, so I can't have Thanksgiving without a little bit of dressing, okay? So this variation of cornbread dressing today is gonna be like the classic wet Southern style dressing. I have a different variation of cornbread dressing in a different video that is more like Cajun-y and it has like bell peppers and everything, but I wanna do it super classic and traditional this time. So first things first is we're gonna get our stock working for the dressing because there's gonna be some pig chicken and some stock that's going in this amazingness. So I have my cast iron getting nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil into the mix. So as we all know, it's Thanksgiving. We have a million things working at one time. So the pie is looking like it's about set for me to add the streusel on top. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna add a little bit of streusel. I love that this thing glides. I love to brown and sear my chicken like in any form, even when I'm making stock. It's just gonna add for a little bit more depth and flavor, and it's gonna add to the color of the stock as well. So now I'm gonna add the chicken into the pot. A little sizzle. A little sizzle never hurt nobody. Okay, we're going in with the chicken, seasoned side down. There we go. Yeah. And then I'm going to season the other side. So we're just pretty much looking to get a little bit of brown caramelization on the chicken because we're gonna be putting the picked chicken from the stock into the dressing as well, and I want there to be some color on there. Like nobody just wants boiled chicken. All right, so now that there's some color on the chicken, I'm gonna add in our mirepoix and some garlic, and I have a bunch of parsley stems. Thanksgiving is all about the herbs, okay? Like, you can't have traditional Thanksgiving without an insane amount of herbaceousness happening. So I'm gonna add some bay leaf into the stock as well as some thyme, some rosemary, and a little bit of sage. I'm adding in some peppercorn in here as well. Now we're gonna add in some water into our pot here. You wanna add just enough water to where everything is gonna be nice and covered. Stuffing versus dressing, like, do you call it dressing or do you call it stuffing? I'm curious to know because they're different. But I grew up calling it stuffing when it wasn't really stuffed inside anything. So I'm curious to know what y'all gotta say about that. I'm gonna pop this back over here. So for the dressing, we're going to be taking some eggs and we're going to go ahead and crack them into the bowl. We're gonna get our egg seasoned for our dressing. So we're gonna go ahead and just give them a little whiskey whisk. And like anything, I'm always gonna put a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. Because what is life? Especially when it's a brand new thing. Add a little bit of onion powder in there as well. Give this a mix. You literally want to season everything every step of the way you go, or else it's just not going to be banging, all right? So a little salt and pepper in here as well. And for me, like, it's all about the sage. It's all about the herbs, okay? So I'm going to take a little bit of sage, not too much, because we have sage in that stock as well. So I don't want to like make sure it's overpowering. I'm just going to slice this. Nothing too fancy here. Sage is one of my favorite herbs, and it's like one of the herbs that like comes around the holiday. Like I don't use it throughout the year that much, but I definitely do enjoy it. I'm going to pop the chopped sage into the eggs. So in the other dressing video that I have on my YouTube channel, I have from start to finish this cornbread recipe. It's just pretty much buttermilk cornbread, super delicious, super moist. It's great on its own, but for this dressing and any dressing, it's so good. So you wanna make sure that the cornbread is at least 2 days old. The drier it is, the more it's going to absorb all of those delicious, amazing juices from the stock and from the egg and from the cream of chicken that's going into this recipe. So right now, I'm just gonna break it up a little bit, just like this. Nothing too crazy here. Once our cornbread is into nice sizable pieces, we can go ahead and pop this to the side. So my next question for y'all is, do you like your dressing on the wetter side or on the drier side? Because there's 2 types of people in the world. Wet dressing and dry dressing. I'm adding a little bit of olive oil into the skillet here. I'm gonna be adding in some onions and celery. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna cook this down for about 5 minutes. I don't want it to be extremely soft because we're gonna bake this, and I like there to be some texture in the dressing. I don't like it to be like 100% mush. Once we cook this for about a few minutes, we're gonna go ahead and add in our garlic. We're gonna add the cornbread into this pot here because this is what I'm gonna bake our dressing in, so might as well. So our celery and our onions look perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop the cornbread into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just mix it around. Now we're going to get into making green bean casserole. Yes, this is one of my top 5 favorite holiday side dishes. I know you're probably like, whose grandma is this? But literally, like, I can't have Thanksgiving without green bean casserole. It's just a must. And a lot of people shade green bean casserole, but it's probably because you've never had it from scratch, and I'm gonna show you just how to make it. So first things first, we're going to prepare our green beans. So we wanna make sure we are cleaning the green beans. They've been washed already. And then we're gonna just give them a little snip on one end. And then from there, we are going to slice them at a bias, just like this. Just so they're nice and edible, little bite sizes. And then we're gonna get these blanching. We have some blanching water in the back. So we all know green bean casserole has cream of mushroom. So we're gonna make that cream of mushroom from scratch. And to do that, we're gonna need to make a roux, which is gonna be the start of our bechamel sauce. So in this pot here, I'm gonna add in the butter. We're gonna get that nice and melty. While this is melting down, we're gonna start to prep our mushrooms. We're not using button mushrooms, we're using bougie, fancy, and beautiful mushrooms because we're living, okay? So I have some king oyster mushrooms here. I have a matsutake mushroom. This is a banger of a mushroom. If you've never had it, it only comes around a certain time of year and it's absolutely delicious. I'm gonna start by just cutting the stem off most of them because what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a mushroom stock at some point because why not? You don't wanna throw away all of this amazing mushroom flavor. For the matsutake, I'm going to pretty much just slice it really thinly. I wanna keep the integrity of the mushroom. So I'm just going to slice it just like this. I love mushrooms and I love green beans and I love vegetables and I love this dish, okay? Don't hate on a green bean casserole, especially mine. This is different. We're just gonna do some nice slices just like this. These are gonna cook a lot faster than the rest of the mushrooms, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting those ready now. In a nonstick skillet, I just wanna brown the mushrooms. You don't wanna go too much. This is gonna essentially get folded into our bechamel sauce and make a fresh cream of mushroom from scratch because chef's kiss, hello. We also have these guys right here. I'm just pretty much going to shred these just like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in those mushroom stems into there. The thing I love about Thanksgiving is that everyone's Thanksgiving looks different. Like when you go over to anybody's house, it's like you're not gonna expect to see the same dishes. I personally love like classic Thanksgiving food. I don't know. That's just my jam. I'm here for it. So now that the butter is nice and melted, we're gonna go ahead and add in our flour. Give this a little whisk. So we're pretty much just cooking the flour out until we get that raw flour taste out of it. We're gonna keep it at a blonde roux. We're not gonna really get any color on this. So this should probably be done in about 5 to 7 minutes. And as far as the mushrooms, they're literally like a sponge, so do not be afraid to add as much fat as you need to in them, just so that they get nice and browned and beautiful. Now I'm gonna add in the rest of the mushrooms. Season the mushrooms with a little bit of salt. Do your thing, mushrooms. Brown, caramelize. Okay, beautiful. So our roux looks like it's nice and cooked all the way through. I'm gonna add in some milk. Lovely. So pretty much this, so this sauce is just going to thicken as it boils. I'm gonna season this with a little bit of salt and allow this to thicken. I'm going to be adding in a little bit of thyme and mushrooms because mushrooms and thyme together are like perfect. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna add in our matsutakis. These are very delicate. I didn't want to cook these like to begin with. I'm just gonna add them in here right now so they kind of like cook with the steam and not get too much color on them. Beautiful. So it's time to season the bechamel sauce. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic powder and some onion powder. Get a little mixy mix. Green beans in a green bowl. I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed. So we have some blanching water going in the back. I'm gonna pop these green beans in there to blanch them. I'm not cooking them for any amount of time. I'm just blanching them so that they stay nice and green and vibrant. And if you don't do this, then you're missing out on a great texture of green bean and a great color. This is a major key, don't miss this step. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt into the blanching water. And now I'm adding in the green beanies. Ooh, now we're really living our best life over here with these brown mushrooms. Okay, so I'm adding the mushrooms into our cream sauce. That's homemade cream of mushroom. Like, why would you get the canned stuff when you could just do this and have the best green bean casserole you've ever had in your entire existence? All right, lovely. This is gonna still continue to cook a little bit just so that the mushroom flavors like marry into the actual bechamel. In the same pot, because I am eco-friendly, AKA lazy, I'm going to be adding in some more oil and I'm gonna cook down some onions. This is also going into our casserole as well. Green beans are coming out of the water. Now we're gonna add just a little bit of garlic into our caramelized onions. Okay, so into our cream of mushroom is where we're gonna add in our caramelized onions and our garlic. So we're gonna add our cream of mushroom into our green beans. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Now it's time to just kind of like fold everything into each other. Make sure we're getting nice and mixed. This is what life's about. Life's about green bean casserole on the holidays, okay? So we're gonna add our green beans into the casserole. We're going to add a little bit of dairy into the mix as well, because when it bakes, that bechamel is just gonna like infuse with the heavy cream, like, and it's gonna make it even more creamy and absolutely delicious. Lovely! Is this not the green bean casserole of your dreams? We're going in the oven. So now we're gonna make our little crispy onions for the top. We have some cornstarch in here and a little bit of smoked paprika for some color and some smokiness, of course. So we're gonna add a little bit of sparkling water into the cornstarch and paprika. We're going in with a little bit of onions to the oil. Got our hot chicken stock doing its thing. Ooh, look at that. I mean, if that doesn't scream Thanksgiving, I don't know what will. Look at that chicken falling off the bone. Beautifully cooked, deliciousness. Our chicken is beautifully cooked and falling off the bone. That's a great indication that we can take our stock off the heat. So we're pretty much just gonna take all of the chicken out and we're gonna shred it and then we're going to strain the stock. So now I'm bringing back our cornbread mixture and our chicken is gonna go into this cornbread mixture. Make sure that there's no bones in here, all right, y'all? Be careful. Don't want anybody choking on a bone. Just give this a little mix. Make sure it's nice and even and incorporated. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in our seasoned beaten eggs. Yum. And then we're gonna add in a canned cream of chicken. This is gonna pretty much help hold that moisture and make sure that it's like nice and wet. I'm gonna give this a little mixy mix. Yum. Wow. Straining in the stock, carefully. And then I'm carefully going to pour in the chicken stock. You don't wanna start out with all of it, just a good amount. So it's nice and sopped up like this. So as you can see, the stock pretty much has been absorbed into that cornbread. It was really wet when I poured it in, and now it looks like it kind of just like seized up. So a little bit of chicken is in here. We got our celery and everything, and this just looks absolutely delicious. Give this one last mixy mix, and here it is. We're going in the oven. The dressing is going to hang out with the green bean casserole. Yum. Mac and cheese dance? Like, are you ready to dance and make some mac and cheese? Because I am. This is number 3 on 5 of my favorite holiday dishes. Mac and cheese is just like a must. Like, it's non-negotiable. Like, it needs to be on the plate, period. So to make this mac and cheese, we're gonna need a blend of cheeses. Freshly shredded cheese is gonna take your mac and cheese game all the way that way, okay? So for our cheese blend, we have a mixture of sharp cheddar, mild cheddar, Colby Jack, and Monterey Jack. And then for our noodles, I'm using a cavatappi noodle. It's not really like a full-on mac noodle, right? It's like a mac noodle doubled. So as you can imagine, all the sauce and all the cheese that it's holding, it's just giving what it's supposed to give. So our chicken stock is boiling. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop in our noodles to the stock. Okay, pasta is cooked and it's gonna go into our baking dish of choice. Into the noodles, we're going to add our sour cream. You wanna mix it until it kind of just like melts and coats every single piece of noodle. And then we're gonna add a whole stick of butter. I know it seems like a lot, but it's not. I'm gonna let this butter melt. Yes. And then I'm gonna crack 3 eggs. Okay, so I'm just giving the eggs just a little whiskey whisk. So technically we're making like a custard mac and cheese, you know what I mean? It's gonna get evaporated milk, heavy cream, it's getting these whisked eggs inside, and a bunch of cheese. Adding a little bit of salt to the vibes. Some smoked paprika, a little bit of garlic and onion powder. And then we're going to add our eggs. A little mixy mix. I'm gonna add some cheese. We're not gonna add all the cheese at once. We're gonna add some cheese and then we're gonna mix it and then we're gonna add more cheese on top. Add some more cheese. Are you kidding me? You literally can't have Thanksgiving without macaroni and cheese. It's just impossible. And then we're gonna add in our heavy cream and evaporated milk. Make sure to get in the corners and all throughout. Yum, oh my gosh. You can nestle it in there. Make sure the cheese is evenly distributed. Oh my gosh. And then we're gonna just flatten it out. Just like this. And then we're gonna add the remaining cheese to the top. We're gonna pop this right into the oven. I mean, Mac attack on 10 million %. Okay, cranberry sauce. Yes, it made it to my top 5. I can't have a plate without cranberry sauce. It's just impossible. I need that fresh, tart tanginess with all of the heavy dairy heaviness, okay? It's gonna just like brighten everything up. So we are pretty much going to be taking some cranberries and popping into a pot. When I tell you, this is super easy to make. It's literally cranberries, sugar, a little bit of clove is up in there as well. Then I'm gonna grate some fresh calabash nutmeg. a little bit of orange zest, and then I'm gonna grate in a little bit of fresh ginger as well. And I'm also gonna add just a little squeeze of orange, just to get the sugar nice and melted quickly. And that's it. We're not gonna do anything to it. We're gonna leave it cracked. And there you have it. It's as simple as that. The best cranberry sauce you'll ever have. Sweet potato casserole, okay. It's either your candied yams or sweet potato casserole. I love sweet potato casserole and I love candied yams. I have an amazing candied yam recipe somewhere in the archive on my channel. We're gonna start out by cooking our sweet potatoes. And then after they are cooked, we're going to peel them like this. It should slide right off if they're cooked. Then we're gonna add the hot potato into a stand mixer. Oh my gosh, the cranberry sauce smells so good. Last one, push through, go, 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 go. For the sake of Thanksgiving, honestly, Thanksgiving is all about the sides. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, nobody's like, ooh, I can't wait to have turkey on Thanksgiving. Because I know I'm not. And if you are, then we probably don't even talk to each other. Anyways, we have our really hot potatoes in a standing mixer. This is pretty much just gonna help like beat them. You wanna do this when it's hot. Into this is gonna go some butter. And then I'm gonna add in some sugar. Eggs. We're adding in some eggs. Got the sugar in there. Sweet potatoes are working. We're gonna add a little salt. We have some cinnamon. Have a little bit of nutmeg and some vanilla. Yum. This smells so good. Lovely. Gonna get that sweet potato. Make sure you get all the goodies. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Sweet potato. I love when it's like perfectly textured like this. I don't like when it's like puree. This sweet potato smells amazing. It's time for the marshmallows. I'm team marshmallow when it comes to sweet potato casserole. Like, how can you not be? She's so cute and small. We love her. Okay, she's going in the oven with the mac and cheese. Oh my gosh. If this is not the cutest sweet potato casserole I've ever made in my entire existence. Bubbly, goodness gracious, mac attack. Oh. Dressing! And then, green bean casserole. Green bean casserole is gonna get topped with a little bit of crispy fried onions and a little parsley. Whoa. Look at this, y'all. Cranberry sauce of my dreams. Do you hear that? I don't know about y'all, but I'm definitely ready to make a little plate. Okay, so mac and cheese, fresh, ooey gooey deliciousness. Wow. Now we're getting into our dressing. Super sopped up and delicious. Can't forget the green beans. Oh my gosh, y'all. This is where it's at. Oh my gosh. Did you hear that? Crunch from the marshmallows. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? Last but not least, cranberry sauce. Always in the middle. Oh my God. I'm in heaven right now. Let's get into this fresh green bean casserole. 10 out of 10. This is my favorite part right here. Sweet potatoes. That was spectacular. That was really spectacular. And then of course, cranberry sauce. I I'm in heaven. Like, oh my God. This right here is my favorite side dishes for the holidays. Like, I can't do Thanksgiving without a little bit of everything that's on this plate, all right? Wow. Oh my gosh. This is, I definitely failed. But guess what? It's still about to bang. I got whipped cream everywhere. I need a little bit more whipped cream right here. My goodness. Let's get into this. The saltiness in the maple whipped cream and in the streusel with the sweetness and spiciness inside the filling is just so freaking good. Wow, y'all, we really did that. This is my top 5 Thanksgiving sides and my favorite holiday pie. I hope you guys enjoy the recipes down below in the deets. And until next time, peace, love, and blessings.